good evening and good morning to everyone, whichever the part of the world you are watching this presentation. So topic of my presentation is scaling from product to platform mindset. As we say that product is a mindset, platform is also a mindset. And if you are looking forward to scale your product to a platform, there are a few things, where I would like to share my experience, based on my learnings. So I am Jairam Bani. I am a product management professional with 16 plus years of experience primarily in product first implementations and platform management. At Avalara, I manage a portfolio of platform integration products called connectors and extractors. The objective of this presentation today is to basically share my view, which I have tweaked basis on my experience of working with various products in my career and the platforms which I have built out of those products. I am going to present my views, on the external platforms and not on the internal platforms. So just in the interest of the time, we'll be focusing only on the external platform. And for this purpose of presentation, I have used Amazon and Avalara as the example to, share my learnings and the principles of scaling your product to platform is where I'll be constantly using these two examples. Why Avalara? Avalara is a global compliance tax platform where we are actually in a way of transitioning and evolving ourselves from a product family to a large-scale compliance platform. Why Amazon? Because Amazon is the most relatable example for majority of the audience. And we are also a partner with Amazon, where I've built the products for Amazon which are related to tax compliance. So that's why I've taken these two examples. Coming on to the agenda, we will start off with the product versus platform as to what is the differentiation between a product and a platform and what are the similarities. We'll talk about the core concepts which are important if you are looking forward to transition your product from a product to a platform or a multi-product platform. And then we'll touch upon the layers and the framework which are important from a platform design point of view. And then a sneak peek into how we are transitioning from a product to platform here at Avalara, and from a SaaS industry perspective, what are the things how you can design into a platform. And then at the end we'll present the summary. So starting off with product versus platform. So product, as the way I would want to put it across is anything that is available for attention, acquisition, use, or consumption. And platform is basically a business that where which is powered by the ability to leverage and orchestrate the ecosystem of producers and consumers, where they all come together and there is an exchange which occurs and there is a value creation which happens. So, as in the case of the Amazon, the platform where sellers are selling their goods and products, and we as consumers, we go and buy those products. So there is an exchange which is happening, and there are multiple partners in terms of delivery, in terms of everything that revolves around this, exchange. They are also participating. So that's why Amazon becomes a platform and fits into that definition. So let's understand, if you have to transition your product, if you are a mono product company, what are the key factors you have to keep in mind if you have to transition to a platform? So in the case of product, the basic, 6 parameters which I've considered for this differential analysis is that, once you think about product is all about, core asset lies in the features. Whenever we are building a product, we talk about features, we talk about user journeys and customer flow within that, how a user would be using the product. But when we are talking about platform takes a bigger scale, where you just not talk about, one feature is of course, but feature is basically, a part of the product, and products in turn are a subset of the platform. Then from a design point of view, whenever we are designing a product, the idea is we focus primarily on the user persona. But when we're designing a platform, it is more around the exchange. And what is that core activity which will be happening on the platform and everything that revolves around it. In terms of the value creation, the value is created for the products via understanding the user persona, user journey, again, in the case of platform, the exchange becomes the center of the entire design. And from a cost point of view, when we think of a product, it is primarily a subscription-driven product, and you can think of any product, in your day-to-day life, if you are paying for it, and it is very common in the SaaS industry where I come from, is that there is a subscription and there is a freemium, which is, where the product is generating revenue for the organization. But when it comes to platform, there are multiple sources of revenue generation. And sometimes as a platform, you also have to incur the cost to ensure that the exchange is happening. What do I mean by that? That, when you are building a platform, so, their subscription will be one element of it, but there are partners who are also coming on your platform and powering that exchange. You have to share the revenue with these partners who are coming on your platform, and at the same time they will also share the revenue with you. So there are multiple sources of revenue stream in the case of platform. From a business driver's perspective, that is, it primarily product focuses on users and enterprises, whereas platform focuses on the entire ecosystem, which involves producers, consumers, and partners. So now, we'll quickly jump onto the key platform concepts. The most important one and the primary one is the network effect. So what do we mean by network effect? So in theory, a network effect relates to any situation where the value of product is or service or a platform is directly proportional to the number of users who are leveraging it. In short, the more the number of buyers and sellers who are using the product, the greater the network effect would be, and then the greater the value of value which will be getting generated on that platform. So within the network effect, there are multiple variations. We talk about same side network effect, cross side network effect, positive network effect, and the negative network effect. But for the interest of this presentation, I've considered a positive network effect. And imagine, as I said, when you talk about network effect, we just said that the greater the number of users, the more value in the exchange which will be generated on the platform. So for this, I've considered a very basic example of a marketplace platform like Amazon. And what you're seeing on the screen is basically a flywheel. Now, the network effect of the positive network effect goes like that the more number of producers and sellers you have on platform, you will have more options and choices because, more number of producers are coming there selling different products of different varieties. So as a consumer, as a user of that platform, you will have more options to choose from. And once you have got more options to choose from, you will have more customers and buyers who are coming on the platform to buy the goods which are being sold by the sellers. And then the more number of the customers which are coming, it will lead to the higher earning potential for the existing sellers, which are already on that platform. And that will ensure that, there is a word of mouth, and then there is a network effect, which will pull in more sellers to come on this platform and sell more. So now if you look at this, a circle of, a positive network effect where it is continuously feeding into each other. Now that is because this is an example of marketplace positive a platform. So that's basically when we talk about the network effect, that's what, when you are building a product, you have to think about the various stakeholders which you would be incorporating or involving once you are transitioning from a product to platform, and you have to ensure that there is an element of network effect within your product. Now, the second and the important concept is the platform and the value exchange. So what do you mean by the exchange? So when we talk about exchange, exchange primarily involves, some sort of an interplay of exchange of value in terms of, goods and social and economic currency. So say, for example, if a producer or a seller is creating something or selling something on the marketplace platform like Amazon, he's creating, he's creating something of value, and when a consumer buys it, they pay it in the form of, economic currency. Cut to a social, platform like Facebook, or say, for instance, LinkedIn, where you create a post, and then the people will come, and if they find it interesting, they will like it. So in that case, they are repaying the value which you have generated in the form of social currency, that is economic and currency, socio-economic currency, in terms of likes. So when we talk about the value, so this is another important that, when you are building a product, you have to ensure that, the value exchange and the value proposition of your product is very clear, which can be scaled later on when you are scaling to platform. So now here I've presented this pictorial representation of a value exchange. As you can see that, exchange, if you consider as an equation, you have got producers on the left hand side and the consumers on the right hand side. Whenever a producer produces something of a value, it goes to the consumer. Consumer pays it in the form of currency, which is social or economic. And then to increase the value of this exchange, to enhance the value of this exchange, a platform involves partners. Now, I'll stop here and give you an example of our partnership with Avlara's partnership with Amazon, and then you can extrapolate that example to the other partners which are in Amazon ecosystem. So sellers, whenever they are selling something, any goods, be it any part of the world, they are liable to file the taxes. So if I am a seller on Amazon, say in United States, then I need to ensure that I'm filing the liability which is due to me, which I owe to the Department of Revenue. Now, if I'm on Amazon, I go and search as a seller on the Amazon for the tax compliance or tax solution partners which are tied up with Amazon, and there I find Avlara and some other tax calculation and return filing partners. Now, since filing taxes is an important part of ensuring the business is compliant, I go ahead and identify a partner, Avlara or someone else, to file my taxes. Now imagine a scenario, and that ensures that I stay with Amazon, because Amazon is providing me an access to a bunch of partners, which can help me in solving a particular business issue. Say, for instance, if I'm looking for a delivery partner, or a logistic partner, I'll have an ability to go and subscribe for those products. So this way, Amazon as a platform is generating value for the partners who are coming into its ecosystem, but at the same time, the partners are also getting an opportunity to, earn revenue by, listing themselves over there. So that's how an exchange, which is simply, not just as a seller selling the goods and producer and consumer buying it, but at the same time, there is an element of partner which comes and which ensures that the exchange itself is enhanced. Imagine a scenario if there was no compliance partner available on the Amazon, and it would have, how difficult it would have been for the sellers who are selling on Amazon to do the business. So they would have moved to another, competitor marketplace. But Amazon, being a platform, ensured that there are multiple producers for the requirement. So that's where the value exchange, the value is getting created and it is getting enhanced for all the stakeholders of the system. Now, when we think about a platform, right? So when we are thinking about scaling our product, you have to think platform, and you want to move towards a platform, you have to think about an architecture, right? So platform, of course, is a very technical concept, but if you have to think in terms of the thought process, how it should be. So for that, I've designed this framework that is, that relates to 3EM. That's what I call it. It's basically engage, encourage, enable, and match. So what do I mean by that? So engage is basically, a platform has to ensure that, we are engaging that, producers and consumers and partners to, come on the platform in the very initial days. Whenever any platform is getting built, there are ways to, attract and, aware, make the sellers and the consumers aware to use that particular platform, and the various mechanism like, online media, offline, or a hybrid version of that. Whenever a platform is getting launched, to create that initial attraction, they're engaging the platforms. They're engaging the stakeholders, producers, consumers, or partners to participate in that. Once the participants are engaged, then the next level of work which involves is encourage, right? You have to, engage your participants to produce and create and contribute a value on the platform, so that, platform itself, powers that exchange and it remains relevant to the outside world. And then once they are already involved in that platform, then you have to enable through role-based accesses so that they're able to contribute, curate, and create a value on the platform. So if you are a producer, then you should be able to create your product catalog, and Rajiv initially, talked about that, how Meesho has enabled the sellers with the help of the product catalog, since they are not okay with the idea of using the Excel. So that sort of an enablement is required if you have to ensure that the more and more number of users are coming on your platform. And then once you have got these three levers taken care of, the most important part which is there is you have to match. So if you are looking, like I cited an example of Avalara, when you are looking for a tax compliance partner on Amazon or any of these marketplaces which are top ranked, you will find Avalara as one of the tax partners. So if I, as a seller, if I'm looking for something, then I have to have a supply of that on the platform. Same goes on the consumer side of the platform, that if I am if I'm a consumer, then if I'm searching for something, I need to have that level of variety of the goods which I'm looking at, so that I can make an appropriate choice. So like in the first slide, as I showed that there's a flywheel effect that gets into picture, that the more number of sellers which are there, the more options are there, and then you have to ensure that the quality is also maintained. So if I have to present it pictorially, this thought architecture, then it's basically engaging platform is at the middle, and you have to engage the producers and the consumers and partners which are enhancing that engagement, so all the stakeholders are involved. And then once you have engaged, then there's an encouragement which is happening, which is basically allowing these partners to connect with your platform with the help of APIs and microservices. And then once they are encouraged, you have to enable them, that they are able to contribute and perform a dual roles. A partner can be a consumer, a partner can be a producer, and at the same time, all these roles are interchangeable. That's how the multi-sided platform is getting created. So the theory lies in enablement. How do you enable them? And then once ensuring that the demands are being met, like what I'm looking, there is an enough supply on the platform. So that demand and supply are being matched. The next concept which I'm going to touch upon, that whenever you are transitioning your product to a platform, you have to make sure that there is an element of design. And when we talk about design, it's primarily in a technical design aspect. So any platform usually have or will have the combination of these three layers, or all these three layers taken together. Now, what are these primary three layers? And fourth one, I'll talk about it, is that first one is the network basically ensures that producers and the consumers and the partners which are coming onto these layers, and then there is an element of community, right? So say for instance, if there is a social media platform, to begin with, it will always start as a community first platform. Say for instance, Craigslist was when it's in its very initial days, it was a network or a community driven platform. Later on, when the number of users increased, there is a level of infrastructure which was added to it. So the first layer is a network. Any platform will have an element of network where and there is an element of community which is involved there. And to support this community, there is another layer which is required, is infrastructure layer. So when we talk about infrastructure, is primarily talking about the tools to enable the producers and consumers, which will provide them an access, which will give them an access to access this platform, rules and the APIs and the algorithms that primarily constitute an infrastructure, depending upon what is the level of which layer is high. The infrastructure layer can increase its percentage in this layers. And then the third layer is a data layer, where you have to ensure that demand and supply are getting matched, and what are the various activities which users are taking on your product/platform, so that you can design your platform and take the constant feedback which is coming from the user behavior. Now, to stitch all these layers together, another important layer is the layer of the communication. So when we talk about the layer of communication, we don't just talk about the level of communication between these three layers, on the inbound side, but also the communication, the kind of which is outbound side, right? So what sort of a positioning you want to have for your platform when you are talking about when you are and reaching out to your end users, like these days 10-minute delivery platform, right? So that's the positioning Zeta wants to create in the minds of the end users, that that's their unique selling proposition. Amazon has got its different positioning, like how they communicate with the end users. At Avlara, we communicate ourselves as a global tax compliance platform, right? So we make tax as less taxing. So what sort of a communication, not just in the layers, what you are seeing in the platform, but what is the communication you want to send it across to the external audience as well. So now, when you are designing it, you have to keep this basic framework in mind when we are, scaling from a product to platform. Is one is that you have to identify the least common denominator, that what is a value that is getting generated. So in the case of Amazon, the value is that the core transaction, which enables a seller to sell the produce and a consumer or a user to buy, or a buyer to buy that produce. So that's the basic exchange, and the value is basically a successful transaction which is getting created. At Avlara, the basic exchange is basically that we allow the users to import all the transactions from various systems, and the value is that it ensures that the transactions, once they are in the system, are tax compliant and compliant as per the laws of the land. Once you have identified these core layers and you have got a solid base on that, that is when it's built, then you can create the functions, right? So Amazon, once it was able to capture the value in the exchange, now they are diversified into various elements. They are into delivery, there is an Amazon Pay. So based on these two basic layer, various variations of the product are getting developed. At Avlara, we have developed something that is called exclusive for calc, that is tax calculation. Then we are enabling the sellers to file the returns. We are also ensuring that there is a document management system in the place, which is a separate offering altogether. Now, all these the enhancements which are happening on the platform are basically happening because we have got these basic layers in place. So whenever you design a product, and if you have got a platform vision in mind, ensure that the value and exchange are being taken care of. Now, the key drivers of the platform, basically, it has to be architected in the platform. We have talked about network effect. Behavioral design is like, how do you ensure that there is a involvement and the engagement of the users with the help of nudges and the notifications, and how you're curating with the help of smart filters, just to ensure that the right side of the suppliers are coming and goods they are offering on your platform are certified, right? So, and the two other concepts which we have not touched upon, which I would like to talk about, is you have to ensure that there's something called marginal economics. Marginal economics ensures that the cost of producing every new variant of your product on the platform reduces over a period of time. And again, going back to my previous example, where if you have identified the value that is getting created on your platform, in the exchange, these two elements, if they are sorted, then it will be easier for you to produce the enhancements and the variations of the product for the different segments of the market, and at a very lower cost. That is what marginal economics is all about. And then you have to ensure that the virality is being built in your product, right? So if you are selling a product, or if you're on Amazon, if you want to share that, you must have seen that you can easily share that, and that product which you're planning to buy, with your families or friends. And if they are not on the Amazon, the moment they click on that link, Amazon gives you an option, right, to see it, without login. And if you want to buy, then you have to create a login. So that's why there is a loop which has been built in. So virality is more of a design aspect rather than a marketing aspect. So that's how it gets differentiated from word of mouth. And similarly at Avlara, we are also inching towards that direction, where we are ensuring that the virality is getting inbuilt in our platform, right? Every transaction as a seller, or as whenever you are calculating your taxes, or whenever you're filing your returns, we ensure that there is a viral element which is incorporated in the product. So that will encourage more and more users and to come on our platform. So now, product to platform, when we talk about, basically the idea of product platform is revolves around the set of the common components, modules, or parts from which a derivative product can be efficiently created and launched. What I mean by that is, so if you have identified the core elements of your platform, like there is a common systems and interfaces that has been taken care of internally, tech stack of your product, then there are the common elements which can be shared across the various variations. Now, if you can see here, this is a very common example in the SaaS space where all these products are using basically the same subsystems and the interfaces, and on the top of it, there are the variations which are created for different segments of the market. It allows us to enable variations in the market based upon whatever the segment we are catering to. So if you are a new user, you can create a free trial account. And if you want to use additional features on the top of it, you'll be able to use individual plan. And then on the top of it, there is a professional, and then there is an enterprise. So that's how a product, something which started off as a single product, now we are inching, as a company, we're inching towards a product platform. So now if you have to transition a product to a platform, there are a few key takeaways here where you have to do a solid analysis, like why do you want to turn your product into a platform, and what are the benefits of doing that, right? There are risks associated when you turn your product into a platform, which means that you will have to lose on certain segments of the market because you are going broad, right? And there are risks because once you are moving towards a platform mindset, then you will have to involve partners because you are building these ecosystems. And when the partners are coming on the platform, they will how do you ensure that your existing experience of the customers is not getting hampered? Because you have to ensure that the kind of the partners you are onboarding onto your platform, they are of a certain quality. Like if you have to become an Amazon partner, there are stringent checks and mechanisms. If you have to launch your app in the Amazon marketplace, then you have to pass through those checks, and they do that so that the customers are the experience remains intact. Because when you are becoming a platform, you are also sharing your brand with the partners, so you have to be very careful. What is the effect on the core customer exchange, right, within and outside of the product, and how the design, how the journey is going to get impacted once the various elements and various stakeholders will come in. And then what sort of a change in organization, because platform mindset, as I said, is a level above the product, where you have to align your resources more on the technology side to ensure that it's the designing of the platform is happening in an appropriate way, it's secure and scalable enough. So once you have to transition to a platform, you have to ensure that the usage of your core product is high and frequent so that you can make that bet. And then you have to identify the gaps, right, where Amazon does calculate the taxes, but that's not the only thing they do. Their core value exchange is around powering the transactions. So they have to invite the partners, in terms of delivery, in terms of compliance, because that's what not their core job is. So if there are gaps in your existing product, like Salesforce is one of the example where they have got Apex Exchange, where Salesforce invites the partners of all sorts inwards so that they can come and build the applications around that customer lifecycle of the CRM lifecycle. So you have to identify that gaps and give an opportunity to a partner to create a value, and then you have to ensure that you have got appropriate integration guidelines with the help of your development portal. You have to align with the development community so that they can build the applications for your platform. And of course, customer communication. So to summarize it, you have to understand, what is the core value in the exchange and functions of your product, and why, what is the benefit you will be driving if you have to, transition to a platform. And then you have to ensure that you are designing your platform strategy from a long term. You're not thinking in a short term, because in a short term, the platform is a multi-year effort, right? So it cannot be you will not get results in a quarter or in a year or so. You have to plan for at least 3 to 4 years in advance, that what are the impacts you have to absorb once you transition from product to platform. There is an important concept of design, that is composite design. So in terms of the UI and UX, you have to ensure that whenever you are producing new enhancements to your platform, that same design is getting carried forward, right? In the process, sometimes it happens that you will acquire a few other companies in a bid to become a platform, but you have to ensure that they are also following the same user guidelines, the brand guidelines of the parent product, so that the entire customer experience and remains intact, and the messaging which you are sending across to the users remains intact. Then you have to define a rollout plan what sort of enhancements, what are the variations of your product you will identify and scale your platform to. And then again, the most important aspect is the people. You have to ensure that the teams are empowered, when the transition is happening, because this transition, no matter, how easy I make it sound, it is going to be very difficult. So that's how I would like to conclude my presentation on scaling the products to platform.
Excellent. Thank you, Jay. That was quite a detailed dive into the differences in products and platforms. We don't have much time for questions, but the one thing that piques my interest, you mentioned bringing virality into Avalara, which is a tax compliance platform. So I'm intrigued on how you can do virality in a product that probably privacy and security is one of the most kind of important aspects of it.
Yes. So basically, how when we talk about the virality, as I said, it's not about, say, word of mouth is different from the virality. Virality is more of a, as I said, is a design related. So, within the product, how do you ensure that with the different stakeholders, right? When I say virality for a B2B SaaS platform is slightly different from a B2C platform. So Amazon allows you to share the product which you are buying, with your friends and family members, and you can share the feedback about it. But when you are talking about filing of the tax returns, right? So within that, virality means that virality has to ensure that more and more numbers users, the adoption of the product is high. So how do we ensure that is like, building these key elements, allowing you to share, within the team, right? Within the internal stakeholders. So within the organization, if the people are not using it, right? Because when we talk about tax compliance, it's not just about a one person's or individual's job. It involves the entire organization. And within that organization, the more and more number users, right? Be it your finance team, be it your sales team, everyone, when they are coming and onboarding and using it, so the overall usage of the platform increases, right? So like, in the case of Salesforce, say for instance, hypothetically speaking, an organization would buy 100 licenses, but effectively only 20 people are using it, but the organization is paying for the 100 of users. Now that the adoption of the product is for some reason or the other is not happening, right? So when you build a virality, you ensure that, you are able to invite the internal users in the case of B2B SaaS, and you let them know that, this is the platform we are using, and, enable a swift onboarding of the internal users onto the platform, so that, it becomes viral. So virality in the case of, B2B SaaS is slightly different from the B2C aspect. I hope I answered your question.